to the Alexandria Chamber's Noontime Knowledge for October. We're happy to have you here today. Our speaker today is Jeff Mellon. He has worked as a computer programmer and analyst for the University of North Dakota for 15 years before he moved to North Carolina to work as a software developer for Medic Computer Systems. And in 1999, he moved to Alexandria with his wife Susan and son Paul, where he currently owns database systems. Over the past 15 years, Jeff has been building websites and has been heavily involved with online marketing. In August, he passed a certified Bitcoin professional exam issued by the Cryptocurrency Certification Consortium, say that 5 times, which established cryptocurrency standards. We also want to thank our sponsor who makes these Noontime Knowledge lunches possible. Great rate, $10. You get a bunch of wonderful information as well as a great hot lunch. And that sponsor is the Minnesota Federal Credit Union. They are not-for-profit, member-owned financial cooperative serving central Minnesota. The credit union has 10 locations offering service solutions to fit all of your financial needs. And stop in at the Alec branch and talk with Nicole or any of the member service specialists today. And Nicole is today, so they know who Nicole is if they want to stop in and see you. So a round of applause to our sponsor. And because I know nothing about Bitcoin, I'm turning the stage over to you. Jeff, come on up.
Hey, thank you. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming. I appreciate you being here. And I'm glad you're at least a little bit interested in Bitcoin. And I thought I would start today with a Bitcoin joke. So this morning I Googled those, and a lot of them were the same. There wasn't really very many good ones, but I found one that I thought I could use. And the joke is, how do you make a small fortune investing in Bitcoin? And the answer is you start out investing a large portion in Bitcoin. So, yeah. Bitcoin is very volatile. It goes up and down a lot. So, okay. Does anybody know what year Bitcoin started? We're going to go through a little bit of a history thing. Who says, I'll give you a multiple choice. Who says 2008? How about 2009? Just raise your hand. Were you the first? Yep. Okay, you get a Bitcoin. Here you go. 1 Bitcoin for you. Don't worry, I have some more questions. Okay, next question. Who invented Bitcoin? I'll turn this into a multiple choice question then. Help me watch for hands going up so I get the first one. Okay, so was it Bill Johnson or Satoshi Nakamoto?
Bill Johnson.
you didn't win. Okay, was it Greg? Okay, great. You got a Bitcoin. Congratulations. And I got one more question here. What's 1 Bitcoin worth today? I'm handing them out. So does anybody know what they're worth?
8,100.
8,100? You get a Bitcoin. It's very close. It's like 8,200. I don't want it to land in your food.
This is worth $8,200?
Yeah, I will clarify. Yeah. I will clarify. Okay. So let's talk about that a little bit. And I wanted to use these to kind of help explain what Bitcoin really is. So, all right. Just a little bit. One of the many stories. This guy here, he was actually on 60 Minutes, I think in May. Some of you might have seen this. This is considered the first real-life transaction in Bitcoin, and it happened on May 22nd, 2010. His name is Laszlo, and he posted on an online forum, and he offered 10,000 Bitcoin if someone would send him 2 pizzas. And so some guy in Europe saw the post, and he said, yeah, send me the Bitcoin, and I'll order 2 pizzas for you. And he just ordered from a local Papa John's near this guy. And so he got his pizza, and the other guy got the Bitcoin. And that established the first price, the first real price in Bitcoin. So if you divide... it was $30 or $40. If you divide that into 10,000 Bitcoin, it ends up to be like 0.004 of a dollar, or a little less than half a penny. And he not only did that once, he did it several times. And I saw also, I looked back at a video of him, and he actually did it so many times that he spent about 100,000 Bitcoin. So he spent about $800 billion at today's prices on pizza. And I think Anderson Cooper was interviewing him, and he said, well, what do you think about when you think about that? Or how do you feel when you think about that? He says, well, I think it's better for me if I don't think about that, he said. So anyway, so the price of Bitcoin started really low, and now it's gone really high. It went as high as almost 20,000 in December of 2017, then it sunk down. 6 months ago, last March, it was like in the 3,000s. This summer, it went up to 14,000, and now it's down to about 8,000. Seems to be kind of going down. But this class isn't really about investing, because this isn't really considered an investment. It's more of a gamble, probably. But what I want to talk about is what it is, and just in case you think you want to put some money into it, at least you'll understand a little bit better about what you're doing and what it is that you're doing. So what is Bitcoin? So Bitcoin is software. It's programs that run on computers across the world, thousands of computers across the world, and it's a network. That network of computers, they all talk to each other, processing Bitcoin transactions. And it is money, too, as we saw. Like here's one, right? Of course, this isn't a real Bitcoin. It's because Bitcoin doesn't exist in the real world, in the physical world, right? So you notice the date at the bottom there, October 31, 2008. Satoshi Nakamoto posted in a technical online forum that he had solved a long-time problem in computer science that had to do with double spending with digital money. And he did a white paper, and it's only 9 pages, and he uploaded the white paper on October 31, 2008. And this is just the start of the white paper right here. And you'll notice it says a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So peer-to-peer means person-to-person. That means no banks in the middle. So sorry, bankers in the room. I know that we're kind of excluding you guys here. So Bitcoin is intended to be peer-to-peer. The problem with that before Bitcoin was that people had tried to do this, but there was no way to keep track of balances, because you can copy files. As you know, you can make copies of files very easily with computers, right? So if I give one person $100, I could give that same $100 to another person. And there wasn't a way to keep track of double spending. But Bitcoin was the first to solve that problem. Okay, so does that make sense? I could get into why, but I'm not going to. We'll get into touch on that a little bit in a minute. Okay. And some say that Bitcoin is the most revolutionary breakthrough of the 21st century after the internet. And if you see how it works, you can see why that's been said. Bitcoin is inflation-proof because there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin created. And the last Bitcoin to be created will be in the year 2140, which is 120 years from now, 121. Just this past week, on Friday, the 18 millionth Bitcoin was created. Every 10 minutes, so there are 18 million Bitcoin out there already, and it's been going for 10 years now. Every 10 minutes, another 12 and a half Bitcoin get created. And they're given to what they call miners. So you can mine Bitcoin. These miners are people who put transactions together and add them to the Bitcoin database, which is called the blockchain. Okay. So Bitcoin is inflation-proof because, like the government that keeps printing more and more money and makes our dollars worth less and less, that won't happen with Bitcoin because it's a set amount. It's secure. That's a big, big deal. And it's secure because of the cryptography, the decentralization, and the consensus mechanism that's used to validate all the transactions and to make sure that nobody does double spending, stuff like that. There's no middleman, no bank or credit card company needed. It's peer-to-peer, as we mentioned earlier. It can be used anywhere in the world, so it's borderless. If you're in Venezuela and your government is not only deflating your money, your currency in Venezuela, your fiat money, but they're also authoritarian and they want to control everything you do, you can use Bitcoin to get around that. It's mostly anonymous. Censorship resistant. Anyone can use it without having to be approved. I just downloaded a wallet on my wife's phone. My wife is Susan. She's back there. She's helping today. I'm paying her in Bitcoin today for helping. So, but I just downloaded a Bitcoin wallet onto her smartphone, and I'm going to pay her with Bitcoin. And we'll do that here. So, does anyone have a Bitcoin wallet? Anyone here? Okay. We're going to talk about wallets in a little more. There's no login needed. This is different. You know, like on Facebook, you have to log in. Google, you have to log in. Your bank account, your online banking, you log in. But you don't need to log in with Bitcoin. There's no account. All it is transactions. There are keys so that you have in your wallet that you can access your Bitcoin, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. There's low or no transaction fees. Last week, I saw a post on Twitter of this guy who sent $200,000 to Europe, and his transaction fee was 24 cents, and that was a Bitcoin transaction. So, and it took like seconds to go, or maybe a few minutes. But if you try to do that the traditional way, not only would it take maybe, I don't know, it might take several days for the funds to get to the destination, but it would also cost you maybe $50 to $100 to wire that much money across, I think. I don't know. Yeah. So Bitcoin has some really, really great advantages here. It's mostly anonymous. No personal data is needed, not even your name. So if you look at the Bitcoin database, which is the Bitcoin blockchain, it's totally open. You can see it. But it doesn't have anybody's name in there. It's only got addresses, which is just a bunch of numbers and letters. Okay, so transactions cannot be hacked or changed, and they are permanent. Bitcoin has been running over 10 years, and it has never been hacked. People have lost money with Bitcoin, but that's because if they had a wallet on their phone, someone stole their phone, and then they took their Bitcoin that way. But the core system of Bitcoin has never been hacked. So it's very secure. And Bitcoin is a system of money that redefines trust. It works like cash because it's peer-to-peer, person-to-person. The money is trusted, not the person or the bank. So the person that you are receiving Bitcoin from, you know, if you were going to sell your car and some guy, shady character, was buying it and he wrote a check to you, you would be kind of suspicious of that. And you would have to call the bank and make sure that the money was really there. But with Bitcoin, all you're trusting is the Bitcoin. As long as that Bitcoin comes over, it doesn't matter who the person was that gave it to you. And this is how the access works, a public key and a private key. So this is they call it a key pair. So the public key is generated from the private key. And the private key is the key that you need to keep secret, because that's the key that allows you to prove you own your Bitcoin, and it allows you to access your Bitcoin and send it or spend it or whatever you want to do with it. The public key, everyone can see that. And that's fine because nobody can figure out what the private key is from the public key. So that's what it's all. That's how the security, part of how the security works, is it's these keys, and that's what you see in the database. You don't see names or ID numbers or account numbers. You just see these keys. They're actually wallet addresses, but they're generated from the private key. Okay. Well, can someone hack into your private key? Could a computer running figure it out? There's a lot of websites you can go to see how strong your password is, and Tyler probably knows about this. Is familiar. You want to make your password strong, of course, and you can go to the website and type in a password, and it'll tell you on the bottom how many years it would take a computer to figure out that password or hack it. So I typed in a 16-character long password, and it would take 1 trillion years for a computer to hack that password. Your Bitcoin key is 32 characters long. I've read that the time that it would take would be infinity. And it kind of looks that way from that one. So I'm kind of going fast. Any questions or comments about any of this? I don't want to go too fast. Yeah, sure.
How do you get your money out? I mean, unless they're a
Yes.
person.
Good question.
At some point, you need to buy something.
Yes.
Or do something with it.
Excellent question, and I wanted to talk about that. The answer is exchanges. There are online exchanges where you can do that. You can sell your Bitcoin and get dollars. Just like E-Trade or something like that. There are cryptocurrency exchanges. And the most well-known one is probably Coinbase.com. I have an account there, but
Take your percentage.
yeah, there's a fee. There's transaction fees and stuff. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like a few dollars, but I don't know, with a bigger transaction amount, there may be a percentage.
So if you go
Yeah.
to that coin whenever, can you then transfer that to PayPal, or does it come out a different way, or once it gets there,
Well,
clean enough for PayPal to?
Yeah, you would have it in your account just like you have a checking account, I suppose, on the exchange, and then you could pull it into your bank checking account or wherever, move it around, right? So
When I say clean, let me ask one more thing.
Yeah, clean.
It's Bitcoin is at least used to be, it was the dark
Yes.
web currency.
Yes.
And I've never been on the dark web. To be clear. But, so then there was always this worry that the FBI or somebody else, if you're dealing with Bitcoin, you're being tracked now because you're probably on the dark web, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Is there truth to that? Does it?
Yeah, that's kind of a topic for an advanced session, but I'll try to just kind of give a basic answer. You're right. Bitcoin can be traced all the way back to where it was initially created. The miners create it, and then it may get spent, and because you can see the wallet address of everything that moves. In fact, the creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi, created about 1 million Bitcoin, and they're still sitting there, and everyone knows that they can go look at it, and it's sitting there. But I went to a session at this conference I went to in August, and that's exactly what this was about, tainted Bitcoin. And there was concern about if you receive Bitcoin that's been used in like a drug deal or whatever, and now you have it, even if you weren't doing anything wrong, it just got to you somehow, then that could be a problem. So it's one of the issues that they are looking at and working on. So good question. Yeah, another question.
Who assigns your Bitcoin key? Is that generated by Bitcoin, or is that something?
Yep. Good question. It's just generated by the wallet. There is no central authority running Bitcoin at all. There's no CEO. There's no board of directors, which is kind of weird and kind of hard to understand. But there's nobody running it. It's all contributors who are running the software and wanting to keep it work. And there are software developers who work on it voluntarily. But go.
So if that happens to be a bad person that assigns you a key,
Yeah.
would they
Yeah.
take your Bitcoin?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. So basically the wallets follow algorithms to generate the keys. Okay, and if there is a shady character that creates a wallet and puts it out there, and it's designed to take your Bitcoin, that's a really good question. That can happen. So that's why you need to be careful about which wallet you use.
So there's no type of regulated insurance like a bank would have for FDIC?
No,
insurance?
you're responsible.
This is just good luck.
Yeah, there's nobody to go back to ask. Yeah.
So when you first get into Bitcoin, you're obviously, if you want to buy, say, 100 Bitcoin, you have to give the money or your bank account information. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And that information is secure?
Well, so that's kind of goes against the whole idea of Bitcoin because you don't want to have to give out that information. So the easiest way to get Bitcoin, yeah, you have to trust the exchange.
Yeah.
And actually, the first Bitcoin exchange got hacked and lost all the Bitcoin. And that happened early on, and that was a big deal. But yep.
To go back to what he's talking about, I got a friend of mine, he's got cryptocurrency, it's not Bitcoin.
Yep.
Okay, and then that was one of the concerns he had about giving out, bank numbers.
Yes, right.
So he was able to get himself, he invested $10,000, and he was able to get himself 10 $1,000 like a cash card.
Yeah.
And can you do that with this also? Or?
Yeah, I have seen cards. They look like credit cards, but they're for Bitcoin. I don't really know exactly how that worked. I haven't looked too closely at that. But we'll talk about wallets, which is kind of like that same thing. And that was another thing I wanted to mention to tag on to these questions was, what's the easiest way to get Bitcoin? The easiest way is to just have someone give it to you. Then you don't have to open an account on an exchange. Like I could say, Todd, do you want some Bitcoin? He could download a wallet. I could just send it to him, and he would have it in a few seconds. And he doesn't have to sign up for an account. He could give me $100, and I could send him $100 of Bitcoin. And then he doesn't have to bother with the exchange. And the best way to get it is maybe earn it. Maybe for some of your services or products, you accept Bitcoin. It's pretty easy to do, actually. All you need to do is tell people your public key. Say, just send your Bitcoin here, and then you can see it coming in. So, yeah, it just changes. Yeah, when I send you the $100, it'll be like 50 in 10 minutes. It isn't quite that bad. Yeah.
It could be 150. It could be.
Yeah, it could. That's right. Absolutely right. Yeah, I've got a couple more stories about the value of stuff there too. So, all right. So if there's not anything else, let's move on to the next thing. Yeah, some of these terms are confusing. So the word Bitcoin itself, it makes you think of a physical coin, and it's not a physical coin. So the name is kind of confusing. A Bitcoin wallet, usually a wallet holds money, but Bitcoin wallets don't hold money. They hold the keys. The Bitcoin is all on the blockchain, and it never leaves. It's just who has the keys for which Bitcoin. And blockchain, that's not a confusing term, actually. And blockchain is, just think of it as the Bitcoin database. Okay. I could say more about that, but I'm going to keep going. So a couple of wallets here. So on the left is just a screenshot of a Bitcoin wallet that you can put on your phone. You can go to your Play Store on your iPhone or Android, and you can find a Bitcoin wallet and download it, install it. And that's what's on the left. That's just one of many. And then on the right, I actually have one of these. This is a hardware wallet. I have $50 on this one. But it plugs into the USB port on your computer, and then there's a little program that runs on your computer where you interact with this thing both by pressing a button on it and by clicking with your mouse on some stuff on the screen. But this is the most secure way for most people to hold Bitcoin. This cost me like $80 or something like that. So I got it free when I went to that conference, but there's like 3 different ones of these. So I mean, if you were looking at buying if you were looking at holding more Bitcoin than you would like care to carry around with you because you might lose your phone. Like if you want to just put 1,000 in or 5,000, then I would recommend doing this. Because this is more secure. It's almost always unplugged, so it can't be hacked at all when it's unplugged because it's offline. your wallet is, your phone's always connected, you know, so but that's still pretty good. It's better than there's also desktop programs that are wallets. And from what I've heard, the experts say this is better and more secure because the operating system is kind of separated better from some of the other stuff. So if you don't mind, whatever you feel comfortable carrying around in your pocket for money, that would be similar to how much you would feel comfortable about carrying around here. Because if someone steals your phone, you could have a PIN on here so they can't get in, but I don't do that because it's too hard to type. I don't want to type a PIN number every 100 times a day. But you can still have a PIN number on your wallet, just on the wallet, and that would help for security. But if you lose it, then it's gone, except if you back it up. And what I did with Susan's wallet today, when I downloaded the app, and then it prompts you. It says you should back up your wallet. And what it does is it gives you a list of 12 words to write down on a piece of paper, just a list of 12 words. And then if you lose your phone, you can get a new phone and install a wallet. It doesn't even have to be the same brand of wallet. It can be a different one. And you can regenerate your original wallet from those 12 words. So that's your backup. If you have $10,000 in a Bitcoin wallet, you need that backup. And you might put that in your safe deposit box. And then also make sure that your heirs know in case you die, so they know how to get access to it. There's a story about a guy who died. His last name was Mellon, not Melland, but Mellon. He was he had like $1 billion worth of, Todd, maybe you heard of this? He had like $1 billion worth of cryptocurrency, and he didn't trust anybody, and he spread his backups across the country in different safe deposit boxes. But he never told his family where they all were. So all that Bitcoin is, or I think it was actually a different cryptocurrency like Ether or something. But it's sitting there, but nobody can get at it because they don't know where all the backups are. So yeah. Yeah. He didn't think he was going to die, I guess. So, that's kind of a lawyer thing about make a will, right? So, here's another story. This guy was mining early on, and he had that was back when you could do mining on a home PC. I was talking to somebody just a week ago. I don't remember who it was now, but he said his son was mining back in the early days, like in 2010 or something, and he had like 3 computers in the garage, and it heated up the garage in the wintertime because they were running so intensely. And he was mining Bitcoin. I don't know how much he had, but anyway, this guy was mining in the early days, and I think he said he had 7,500 Bitcoin, which at the time this was posted, that's in 2018, it was worth $60 million. And so what happened was he got tired of it, and Bitcoin wasn't really doing much, and he just got bored. And so he threw his computers away, or they were either in his garage or he threw them away. And then he saw that it was worth that much, and then he was frantically looking for his computers because those hard drives had the keys to all of that cryptocurrency. So there's a lot of stories like that. So yeah, we've been talking about this. Is your wallet backed up? Then you're okay, right? Because you can regenerate your wallet with your backup, but make sure it's accessible by you and your heirs. And then this little thing here, do you know who this guy is? Jim Cramer on CNBC. I was just looking at this, and I just Googled Jim Cramer, and he's a smart guy. I mean, he graduated from Harvard with a 4.0 GPA, and then he went to Harvard Law School, and then he created a hedge fund, and he made like $100 million, and then he went to TV. But he had, back in December of 2017, he had some comments about Bitcoin. So I just wanted to respond here to his comments and show you what he said. He says, no one knows who created it. Well, that's kind of true. We know who created it. We know that someone by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto created it. But Satoshi Nakamoto only appeared on online forums, and he emailed with some of the early developers to help get Bitcoin going. And after a year or so, he disappeared, and nobody knows who he is. Or she. It could be a he or a she, or it could be multiple people. And Satoshi has 1 million Bitcoin, which is worth, I don't know how many billions, but he could be dead. He or she or they could be dead. We don't even know. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So Jim Cramer is kind of right on that. We don't really know. We know the name, but this is wrong. No one knows how much the creator reserved for themselves. We know that the coins that are out there at the very beginning of the blockchain that were created by Satoshi when they got Bitcoin going. They were testing it and stuff. And that was when, of course, it wasn't worth anything. There's virtually no transparency into the underlying system, which is 100% false because it's open source, just like WordPress. So anyone can download all of the code and look at all of the code of all the programs. You can also look at the entire database and every transaction going all the way back to 2009. So that's totally wrong. I don't know why he's saying stuff when he doesn't know, but there's no government backing, no underlying assets backing it up, and no military support. And that's probably true. Well, that's kind of the idea, is just we don't want government involved at all. Nothing backs it up, but what backs up gold? A lot of people compare Bitcoin to gold. What backs up the dollar? The government, right? And gold used to, but the government keeps printing more, so the value of the dollar goes down, and then we keep paying more for everything. So with Bitcoin, that should not happen. It's just that it's volatile, but it's getting more stable. So, okay, and Bitcoin is software. That is true. Bitcoin is software, and it's a network, and it's money. Software can be hacked. That's true. But Bitcoin software can't be hacked. And it's been running for 10 years, and it hasn't been. And it's because it's distributed across thousands and thousands of computers who are participating in the Bitcoin network. And they have an interest in it not being hacked. And it runs on a consensus model where any of the changes that are ever made, 51% have to agree on it. So it's kind of like a democracy, where everyone has to agree. A hacker could go in and change a program or a database on one PC, but that's not, everyone else isn't going to agree with it, so it's not going to do anything. So, okay. So I'm at the end. So if you would like to try using Bitcoin, this is what I would recommend. Download a wallet app, and I use Mycelium. That's a good one. And I've got some other suggestions. There are other suggestions here. And there is a form on the table. I didn't have quite enough to hit every chair, but we don't have every chair filled. So if you would like to, I don't know what the questions are on the bottom, but if you want me to get back to you with anything, I think I said I would send the PowerPoint. Thanks, Todd. Yeah. If you want the presentation slides, and I actually have a bunch more slides here too, but I didn't want it to get too long. And a Bitcoin tips sheet. I'm going to make a Bitcoin tips sheet. If you want that emailed to you, just leave your email address on there. Or if you have some questions about Bitcoin or would like to talk about it, just check that box. And then the third one is if you know other groups that might like to hear a Bitcoin presentation, let me know about that. And then in the Bitcoin notes that I would send, I'll give you some tips on Bitcoin wallets that should be good. One little tip about downloading a Bitcoin wallet: don't download one unless you see it has a lot of reviews and a lot of downloads, because a fraudulent one that a hacker made is probably not going to have very many downloads and is probably going to have bad reviews, if it has any reviews. So if you see a wallet that doesn't have any reviews at all, probably don't use that one.
That's 5 reviews with 4 or 5 stars on it. Yeah. All from Jim, John, and Jody.
Yeah. You might wait till it has a few more. Yeah.
Cellulome is showing 170 reviews of 2.5 stars. For Gemini, has
Well,
5.6K and 5
sometimes watch it. I think mycelium is better than that, so it might be a different one you're looking at. So sometimes the scammers will.
Cellulome Bitcoin wallet.
Yeah. Well, we'll look at that. So anyway, is there any other question? I was going to pay my wife too, and I'll show you how that works. But you guys got a couple quick questions.
Yeah, just a question. Have there been any, how would this apply in a commercial environment? You know, it's
Yeah.
manufacturer, distributor, looking to use Bitcoin to either exchange resources, take Bitcoin in one of their products, or use Bitcoin to obtain products.
Yeah, I've read that some big companies are accepting Bitcoin. Like I think you can get what's the car, the electric car, Tesla? I think the dealers will accept Bitcoin for those. Yeah, I thought I read something about Amazon. They're talking about it. Yeah, but how does it work? You can install shopping carts that will accept Bitcoin, and then they'll convert to dollars on the fly. So there's products being developed that are going to make it easier to use, and that is another thing that it's not extremely easy to use now. It's better than it used to be, but there's still a lot of development going on now. And as it gets easier to use, and if it really takes off in its use, then you'll see the price go up again. So I think now the pricing is going up and down because of speculators, mostly. But if you see like an entire country or entire huge group of people moving to use Bitcoin, that's going to be a positive effect for the stability and the price probably.
So that's what you were reading earlier. You said you'd transfer $100 to them, but in 10 minutes you were
Yeah.
it's like,
It isn't quite that bad, but it used to be worse. But yeah, because you look at let's see, in June it was like it almost hit 14,000. Now it's at 8,000. So it's just a matter of a few months. And a few months before that it was at 3, but they went all the way up to almost 21. So it's a gamble if you're going to try to make money, because usually what happens is most people follow the strategy of buy high, sell low. That's what most people do. So that doesn't work very good. Yeah.
Difficult in a business transaction, because if it was valued at 14,000 before,
Yeah.
you take the goods, now it's worth 8,000.
Right.
So you just took that.
Yeah, it isn't quite minute to minute, and that's why some of these shopping carts will have like an instant convert it back to dollars right away.
Okay.
It isn't quite that bad, but it does go. In one day it can go up and down a few $100 pretty easy. But it,
running into businesses that are having a strategy of if they are looking at Bitcoin, they would immediately cash out of it.
yeah,
If they take it,
Right.
they convert to Bitcoin, you immediately value that.
yeah. I think yes, and I think there are some shopping carts that you can use in websites. And Tyler, maybe you work with that, or have you seen that? I've heard of.
I've heard of them, but I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't used one either, but a shopping cart, that you can, if you're selling stuff on your website, that now there are some that you can use for Bitcoin. Yeah.
Is there any information you can give about tax consequences when you're using Bitcoin? Like Uncle Sam, obviously.
Oh, tax, yeah. Yeah, the way I understand it is they treat it as kind of like, like capital gains tax. If you buy it at $10,000 and you sell it at $20,000, then that's considered a $10,000 capital gains tax, I believe. It's when you go in and out of it just like a stock, I think. I think that's right. But
Treat it like a currency exchange.
yeah, right. You have the question. Well, they can track you down if you have an account on on an exchange. Okay. But if you don't, if you just have a wallet and you got money that way, it's harder to track you down.
But it's still possible.
Well, yeah, I guess I just read something about some crooks getting tracked down. So that's why there are some other cryptocurrencies that focus on privacy more, and you can't track people at all with those. So there's a whole bunch of other ones. But Bitcoin is the top one. It's the oldest one. It's 10 times bigger in market capitalization as the second one. I think it's like $150 or $200 billion market cap. And the next one is 10 times, a tenth of that, which is Ethereum, which is another, it's more for smart contracts, which is another topic. But and then there's a bunch of other ones below it. So, question. Oh, you guys.
Do you
Yep.
have any experience at all with different type of cryptocurrencies at all, other than Bitcoin?
Oh, I bought some Ripple, which is XRP, but I not really, not too much. I mean, I read about them a little bit, and I see them on the exchange, and I see people talking about them. But I think, if you can buy some cryptocurrency and it's a penny per coin, you don't have to spend very much. You don't have to risk very much. And then you think, like Bitcoin did, it went way up. Maybe that could happen. But most of them are not going to be any good. But a few of them will be good. But how do you know? Tyler.
What do you think about the futures market starting to exchange contracts on Bitcoin? Because, that allows like institutional investors and other organizations to participate in Bitcoin without actually having to use the underlying asset.
Yeah, and I'm not really qualified to answer that. I don't know. I've read something about that, but that's more of an investment thing. But I think, so the question, what's that?
Maybe add stability because you can get...
Yeah, well, yeah, that maybe would. Yeah, the more people that are using it and stuff. It goes down to, but the question is how secure, or what's Bitcoin going to do? What's going to happen? Is it going to totally disappear, or is it going to last? And it's lasted 10 years. I would say it's lasted 10 years, and the technology underlying it is so amazing that technology is not going away. So whether it's Bitcoin or something else that comes along, but it'd be hard to catch Bitcoin because it has the security of the thousands of people that are keeping it secure and using it. So it seems like a good stable thing for a while. Oh, Facebook, yeah. So that,
How many different flavors?
yeah, Facebook's is totally not cryptocurrency like Bitcoin is because it's centralized. Facebook controls it. It goes against the core principles of what Bitcoin is trying to do, which is making it distributed and not controlled by anybody and not having that middleman, because Facebook would be the middleman in there. So they're just another central bank or something like that. So, and I see now Visa and MasterCard and a bunch of them we're going to be in it and they're dropping. They're not getting into it. And would you want Facebook to be your bank? Do you trust Facebook for your banking? No, I don't think so. So, yeah.
When I pull my app up and I see 45 different apps for Bitcoin.
Yeah. So that's
confidence in me at all.
yeah, I know. So that's why I was going to, in the tip sheet, I'm going to send out, if you want to get that, I'll give you some tips on that, on what to look for. And there's a handful of them that are good. And you don't have to stay with the same one forever. You can drop one and move your Bitcoin to a different one. So, and Susan, is there any other questions? Yeah.
I was just curious a little bit on the pricing. So you mentioned it was like determined by transactions. Is it literally determined by whatever the most recent transaction was on like a market? Is this purely free market, so every exchange will have different price marking? So it's like a true free market determination. And can people potentially like say sell a Bitcoin for like $20,000 just to manipulate the market and then unload like say like 1,000 coins behind that, trying to take advantage of that?
Well, if you could sell for $20,000, then that's the price at that moment.
But you could have like people that like try to manipulate the market.
Yeah.
Like how do you prevent against it? Is that basically?
It's open, and it's determined by market forces, supply and demand, and it does vary a little bit on different exchanges.
Well, that's what I'm learning about, because there's like, for example, in markets there are like anti-spoofing like legislation and like the stock market. You can't do that. You can't manipulate that. That's what the flash crash happened.
Legislation.
Well, that's probably super risk.
Yeah, all I know is that it's based on supply and demand, and there are, and like you said, it could be a slightly different price on different exchanges. There's also a website called Local Bitcoins where you can trade Bitcoin from person to person. But then they have low fees, but then they'll ask whatever they want for it, So, but then you don't have to go through an exchange. So, yeah. So
these guys that forget their passwords or pass away don't give it to anybody. Now all these bitcoins are sitting out there.
Yeah.
And they're only making a certain amount of bitcoins.
Yep. Right. So it's estimated that 2 to 3 million bitcoins are lost. They're there, but the people have either died or they lost their keys or whatever. So that means we're down to 15 million, and how many more will be lost? Well, at this price, people will be more careful about that, but they could still die and not pass it on. So yeah, you're your own bank. I mean, there's no bank to call to say, help me out, or reverse this charge. You can't reverse a Bitcoin transaction. They're not reversible.
There's no bank to send you a 1099 either?
You got to send your own 1099.
Sounds like good advertisements for the bank.
Yeah, so. Am I missing anything? Anything else? Do you want to see a real live Bitcoin transaction? Not one of these where I just hand this over? Do we have time? It's 12:51. So if I wanted to pay someone Bitcoin, I would open up my wallet. And my wallet here, it says, I don't know if you can see this, but I've got $60 in here. This is my wallet. And there's a button here that says send and receive. So I can say, okay, I'm going to send $10 to my wife. She's getting hers ready.
$10 an hour?
Well, not 10 Bitcoin.
I got a free lunch though, so.
Yeah.
So when you say you have 60 in your wallet, is that 60 Bitcoin or 60?
It's $60.
US dollars.
Yeah. So that reminds me, one Bitcoin it can be split up into 100 million pieces. So it can go really small. So you don't have to deal in just holes. Okay. Okay, you ready, Susan? It says, okay, so now it says enter, I put in $10, and then it says scan QR code. So she's going to hit her receive button, and it'll come up with the QR code so that she doesn't have to, or so I don't have to type in that long number. The QR code just translates into the number. So I'm going to say scan QR code. So hold your QR code up. Okay, I got it. And I have a 2-cent transaction fee. And there's different priorities you can give it. So I can go cheaper and it would take a little longer, or I could go higher and it would take less time. Now I just hit send. Now it's asking me for my PIN number. So I'm typing that in.
What's that?
It's just yeah. It says transaction sent. You should have brought your wallet. I would have gave you something. See, too late. So I don't know do you see anything happening?
It says incoming payment.
How about that? Incoming payment. So every 10 minutes, a bunch of transactions gets added to the blockchain. And her transaction will be in either the next block or one after, depending on the miners, and because they'll pick transactions based on the priority and how much they can make, because they get transaction fees in addition to the Bitcoin. So, yep.
Does the value of the Bitcoin change? I mean, every 10 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's just the
It's just a rolling.
the exchange. I mean, it's buying and selling, and however that works, I don't know exactly, but it's pretty often. It's pretty frequent. It never shuts down at night. It's 24 hours a day. So it's not like the stock market.
So what you're saying, if you sent her another $10
Yep.
now,
Yep.
the last one might have been worth $2, the next one might be worth $6.
It's not that volatile anymore. No, it should be pretty close. pennies probably. If you're talking about half-hour pennies, maybe $1.
What would your $10 worth now? How would you know that?
Yeah, it'll tell you on your wallet. It will tell you. I
He came up and told me $60. His Bitcoin today, right now, this minute, was worth $60. And so then he made a transaction and took $10 out of that. So it's not going to change in that time frame. You know,
Yeah.
If you did something in the morning or something in the afternoon, you potentially might.
Yeah, it might vary a little bit. But it's a smaller amount, so small, the percentage is not going to be a lot.
So does the $60 fluctuate with
Supply and demand. Yeah. And the wallet is just monitoring prices on one or more exchanges. And I don't even know which, they use various ones, but.
Is there an exchange usually go to kind of get the value?
Yeah, well, I just go to Google and type in Bitcoin price and it comes up with something. But Coinbase is probably the biggest exchange. And it seems like it's fairly secure. But it's not as secure as, not having an exchange. Usually the general rule is don't keep your money on an exchange. Keep it yourself. Because exchanges could be hacked. Because they have a database, and they're holding your keys, your private and public keys, if you have your money, your Bitcoin with them. Yeah. So, if you want to buy Bitcoin on an exchange, buy it there, and then send it to your wallet. Send it to your hardware wallet if it's a lot. Or if you just want some spending money, you can put it there. So.
You have a private key per coin. So if you have like 50 coins, you have 50 private
Oh, different coins? Like Litecoin and all these altcoins, you mean? Is that what you mean?
Because you say that you have the public key, right?
Yes.
The private key.
Yeah.
Is that private key different per
There's one private key. I think there's one private key per wallet, and then it'll generate the public key out of that and the Bitcoin wallet address. And it does a lot of stuff underneath, like hashing and stuff. But yeah, I mean, the wallet kind of handles all that for you.
So the individual wallet has the key.
Yes. Yes, it does. Yeah. So, all right. 3 minutes left. So, did that help? Thank you. The biggest one? Oh, I think I bought like $100. My wife's here, so I can't say. But.
No, there's honesty.
Yeah. No, like $100 or something. I transferred from the exchange because I wanted to learn how it works, so I wanted to work with it a little bit. Yes, right. I already gave her 10, so yeah. So, but I'm glad you came, and I hope that your interest has spiked a little bit on this. And like I said, if you want to talk about it some more or got some questions, let me know. And
Fill out those forms, Jeff.
Yep.
If you want, just drop them on the table on your way out. We'll make sure you
Mhm.
use those.
yeah, yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.